Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Saturday morning for our webinar. Friends, I am Rishi Narang, the academic head at International College of Financial Planning, and I am delighted to welcome each one of you today for our webinar on coverage of the Union budget, debt market operations, and RBI's role. Friends, we are honored to have Mr. Rajat Sharma with us today. Rajat is an esteemed financial markets expert and an ICOFP alumnus from the 2007 batch of PGTFP. Mr. Sharma is currently the regional head, elite partner and client group at Nippon India Mutual Fund. Rajat brings over 15 years of experience in the asset management and banking industry. His impressive career includes key roles at HDFC Asset Management, DSP BlackRock, Sundaram BNP Paribas, so pretty much the entire spectrum. Today, Rajat is going to provide all of us, a comprehensive analysis of the Union budget, its impact on India's debt market, and the crucial role of our central bank RBI in shaping the monetary policy. We all know that yesterday the RBI reduced the repo rate by 25 basis points. So started in the direction that we all were expecting from some time now. Friends, just to let you know, our webinar today will be in two sections whereby Rajat will lead his presentation firstly, and then I'll be discussing briefly on the CFP certification program. And finally, we'll have a joint Q&A session where we'll discuss on your queries and solve it here. Right, so it's going to be very exciting. So look forward to this interesting opportunity today, friends. So let's, once again, thanks Rajat to join us and, spare his time to explain these important aspects to all of us. So thank you, Rajat, once again, and over to you now, sir.
Thank you so much, Rishi. And I really want to thank ICOFP to have given me this opportunity to be able to speak to the students and also people kids who are interested in doing CFP. Firstly, it takes me many years back. Back in 2006 when I enrolled for my CFP, and I remember I was a fresh graduate that time, very worried about my career as to what will I do. When I look back, I really thank ICFP to have given me a right pedestal and education at that time, because of which I think I've done fairly all right or fairly well in my career. And I am not the only one, Rishi. I know so many of my batchmates, my friends who are in India, abroad, in the financial market, who've been doing exceptionally well. So, I really want to thank ICFP, Ms. Vani Bajaj and Sanjeev sir, of course, to have given me, to have actually made this college where everybody's benefiting. Whatever questions as people may have with regards to the career in the financial industry, I would want to, possibly answer those. But without wasting your time, let's just, maybe start off with firstly, how to understand and how to look at the budget. See, frankly, budget is an annual affair. Every year, in the beginning of the earlier, it used to be Feb end, and now they moved it to January end. So every year the budget comes. But then why is it so relevant? Frankly, India is a very large economy, still an emerging market, still a growing economy, where your expenditures are always more than the revenue. But then the kind of capex opportunity that we have is also very less. But then why then it becomes very, very critical to look at the budget. So there are two reasons for that. The first and the foremost being budget presents to you the way the financial health of the economy is. Government is always constrained because expenditures are a lot more than the revenues. So, what government is prioritizing, where all they want to spend money, what sectors they want to spend money on, it becomes very, very critical, not only from economics point of view, but also from the financial markets point of view. For example, budget is keenly watched by the fund managers, by the individual large investors who are investing their own money. Because what happens is there's a saying in the financial world: follow the puck. Okay, so wherever the government is spending money on whatever sector government is spending money, all those sectors they naturally start getting the tailwinds because government is the large spender in any economy. So all the sectors, for example, a few years back, they had started focusing on the productivity linked incentive. All the companies like say Dixon, like of EMS space company, they did exceptionally well. They're spending a lot of money on the irrigation. So a lot of pump making, drip making companies started to do a lot better. So, when government spends money, it gives the natural flow of it gives natural impetus to the sectors where the money is being spent. So in India, there are roughly around 4,500 companies listed, and there are roughly around 200 sectors. So it's becomes very critical to see where is the big spender, which is the government spending money, so that as investors we can take advantage of that spending that is happening. But only this is not only limited to the making money. All the economists world over, the rating agencies like Moody's, like S&P, they also keenly watch the budget. Reason for that is because if a country is not walking the path of fiscal prudence, if they are spending a lot more than what they are earning, it really poses a great risk to an economy for the credit rating of the economy to get downgraded. In that case, it can have a lot of implications for the economy. So without wasting much of your time, I'll straight away jump onto uh, the budget slides. Just allow me a second. I'll just try and share my slides with you. If you can see, do let me know.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, I've done the slide share. So is it better now? Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
So, to begin with, if you see, this year in the budget, what has really happened is people were anticipating that government is going to spend a lot of money again on the infrastructure, on the road, highways, but that kind of really hasn't really happened this time. Reason for that is because government has already been spending too much of money on the roads. Till now in the last few budgets that they've been coming out with. This year, what they have tried doing is they've tried putting more money in the pockets of the taxpayer like the salaried class, like me and Rishi, because we everybody was feeling the taxation burden. So they've kind of increased these tax slabs. So anybody who is making over 15 lakhs, earlier the taxation was about 30%, but now for people who are earning about 20 to 24 lakhs, the taxation stands reduced to about 25%. Now, so all the slabs have been moved. So because of all the changes, whatever they've done, so this is going to put, say, about 1 lakh crore more in the pockets of the individual salaried class, which is not less, because what happens in the economy mein aapke paas there's something called a multiplier effect, like 1 lakh rupees that I'm spending today, because at every level when this money gets earned and it gets saved and gets spent, there's a multiplier effect that happens. So in an anticipation, every 1 rupee spent in the economy leads to about 3.5 rupees get created. So 1 lakh crore जब खर्च होगा, so it is going to have much more repercussions for the economy, which is much beyond this 1 lakh crore. To begin with, what the something that they've again done very prudently, that every year this government has been trying to lower the fiscal deficit of India. If you see, for the last financial year, for in fact the one which is going to end in the month of March, they had given a target of 4.9. They have overachieved it by 10 basis points. So the fiscal deficit number is about 4.8 for this year. For the coming financial year, it is 4.4% only of the GDP. Now, why the fiscal deficit number becomes very, very critical? The reason it becomes very critical is because as we move ahead on the slides, you'll figure out that fiscal deficit number. What happens is, fiscal deficit is nothing but the mismatch between the income and the revenue. So when the revenues are not as much, so government has to, through RBI, has to take this money from the market. If they are taking a lot more money from the market, because market में पैसा limited है, be it the private sector or the government, the money is very limited in the economy. So if government tends to take most of the money, it leaves very less money with the private, for the private businessmen, for the private entities, and the interest rates then they start to go inch up in the economy. So that's a repercussion which is also said in the economic terms. It's called private sector is being crowded out because most of the money is being taken out by the government. So which thankfully is not the case with this government. This government for the last 10 years, what I can tell you is the hallmark of this government has been they've been fiscally extremely poor, extremely good. They've been managing their finances rather well. As we go ahead in the slides, you'll see how well they've managed the fiscal deficit through these years. Alongside with what they've also done is they have set aside the capex that they had done last year. उससे 10% का increase करा है in this budget. So capex also is being taken care of in a good way. So your non-tax revenue, which means that there are two sources of the revenue for the government. First is the tax revenue, other one is the non-tax. Non-tax, which basically means that the RBI also through its operations, through the forex market interventions, or through printing of the currency, they also make a lot of money. So this has been a newer trend for the last few years that RBI has also started giving dividend to the government, which actually reduces the burden on the government. So, these are a few things which got discussed. One more important point, in this budget was that government is saying that the nominal GDP growth that they're targeting for this year is about 10.1. Now, why is nominal? So, firstly, what is the normal GDP growth? Nominal GDP growth would mean the real economic growth. Like, you get to hear 6.5 or 6.4% say quarterly we are growing. Plus, if you add the inflation back into this number, because all these numbers that you hear in the budget or usually on the news, they are the inflation adjusted numbers. So it is very critical to see at what nominal pace of growth is economy growing. So they have said that the nominal pace of growth would be about 10.1%. As we move little ahead, I will tell you why this number becomes even more critical from the equity markets point of view. So one number that you always have to remember whenever you're seeing at what pace the economy is growing is the nominal GDP growth and not the real GDP growth always. And I'll tell you why. Uh, so these were a few pointers which came along. So in the taxation, in the direct taxation, your corporate as well as the individual tax revenues have been growing very, very fast. So I'll quickly take you to the numbers. Though don't put the too much of mind on the numbers. I'll explain to you everything. So now if you see this slide, there are too many numbers here. It can confuse anybody. But just to, simply explain to you, every household, every person has a budget. You earn something and then you spend whatever you spend, whatever is left is either it is saved or it gets invested. However, this luxury is not there in India. बिकॉज एज ए ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी हमारे जो खर्चे हैं वो हमेशा बहुत ज़्यादा है हमारे इनकम से सो नाउ इफ यू सी फॉर दिस फाइनेंशियल ईयर फॉर 2025 so for 2025-26 the BE means budgeted estimates. If you see, government has said that they want to spend about 50 lakh 70,000 crores. So this is a huge number. Now ये 50 लाख 50.7 lakh crores का number जो है yeah, how does it gets from where does it come from? So if you see out of this 50.7 lakh crores, the revenue expenditure, okay, if you see, can you see the cursor that I'm moving? So revenue expenditure is 39.4 lakh crores, which means that, so firstly, what is the revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure is the money that you're spending on the salaries, on the pensions, on the grants, on the subsidies. So all these things which basically means कि आपको खर्चा है अपना घर चलाने के लिए, ये खर्चा आपका होगा ही होगा, हर साल होगा, okay, हर month होगा, you can't say no to it. So this is the necessary evil. If we have to survive, if the economy has to keep running, this money has to get spent. So 39.4 lakh crores get spent just to run the economy, just to run the show. Okay. And rest 11.2 lakh crores are getting spent on the capital expenditure, which means so for anybody's growth. So for example, even if you're earning salary, what really ensure that you become richer over time is the money that you save and the investments you do, because your investments keep growing, and then after a point in time they start giving you compounding returns, and that's how you make money. In the very same way, government is spending 11.2 lakh crores in the capital expenditure in the various sectors so that the capacity expansion happens and the earning capability of the economy grows over time. So this is that. So both these expenditures put together are about 50 lakh crores, you can say. Now, against this income, from where is the money coming? Now, if you see at the top, the revenue receipts, they stand at about 34.2 lakh crores. 50 लाख 50 लाख में से अगर आप 34 लाख हटा दो, then you are left with about. And so what is the source of this 34 lakh crores? So there are primary two sources of this earning. Firstly would be the direct taxes and the indirect taxes. Indirect taxes के अंदर what all comes? If you see, like, just concentrate on the cursor. Now in the indirect taxes, if you see the custom duties with government posts, the excise duties, there's GST collection, which has been on a very, very steady increase month on month. So this is the source of the indirect taxes for the government. So all these indirect taxes put together are giving are about 17.5 lakh crores. And the direct taxes, taxes which the companies are paying or which individual like me and Rishi are paying. So this is both these taxes put together, they are about 25 lakh crores. So actually, if you see, amongst the revenue sources, the largest revenue source for the government is actually the direct taxes. And even in that, the personal income tax, the individual tax is a lot higher compared to the corporate tax also. If you see, back in the year 2023-24, corporate tax was about 9 lakh crores and income tax was about 10.5 lakh crores. Today, the difference between both of these tax numbers for 2025-26 the difference is quite big. It's almost roughly around 4 lakh crores. Now, why this is happening? Because there are, economy is growing and there are newer number of people who are coming, of course, who are coming into the regularized jobs, and they also, they've started paying taxes. So this is from where this number comes. सो नेट नेट हमारा खर्चा है 50 लाख करोड़ का, हमारी इनकम है लगभग 34 लाख करोड़ की. इफ वी रिड्यूस द एक्सपेंडिचर, if we so the gap between both these is about 15.7 lakh crores. If you see, 15,70,000 का डिफरेंस है. इस डिफरेंस को बोला जाता है फिस्कल डेफिसिट, which means the gap between the income and the expenditure. Now this number is very, very critical. If you see in terms of the money, it's 15.7 lakh crores, but in terms of the GDP number, if you see, this has been on a steady decline. 4.9 last year का बोला था, इस बार achieve कर रहे हैं 4.8%. Now for this financial year, they are saying it would be 4.4% only. Now, how with this, from where will this money come and what implications will it have? Will understand in the coming few slides. Now, if you see, concentrate on the cursor, the 15,70,000 का आपका नंबर है जो सरकार को चाहिए ज्यादा from the income. So this is money has to come from somewhere, right? Because to be able to fund the programs that government has to give. So from where would this number come? So out of this 15.7 lakh crores, if you see that two major contributors of this number, there's a term called government's borrowing. The money that government takes from the economy or from the savers. और वो कैसे लेते हैं मैं आपको explain करूंगा. So firstly, understand this money is coming from two sources. Firstly, the government is borrowing the money, plus the second main source of this money is the small savings that schemes that the government runs. For example, आपका provident fund, PPF जिसको हम बोलते हैं, public provident fund, किसान विकास पत्र, आपके possibly if you have these schemes running, then Sukanya Smriddhi scheme, that government, all these schemes government runs, and it gives a certain assured interest on this. Basically all this money is basically to fund the fiscal deficit. And if you see, जो small savings का जो पैसा है, this is coming lower and lower year on year. So 2023-24 के अंदर ये 4.5 लाख करोड़ था, लास्ट ईयर बजट था 4.2 लाख करोड़, बट गवर्नमेंट ने सिर्फ 4.1 लाख करोड़ लिया. इस साल they are reducing it by good say 15%. So it is only 3.4 lakh crores that government will be taking from the small saving schemes in the coming financial year. And rest everything would be, almost everything is coming from your market borrowing. Some amount of money is coming, say, from the grants. The government, it's India as a growing economy. We also get a lot of grants and assistance from the say IMF and all. So all that money, is there, but it's a very small money to make an impact. Now, this 15.7 lakh crores in the borrowing calendar. Now, if you see, so what happens every year is government जो है आपको जब budget announce करती है, budget के साथ वो बता देती है fiscal deficit कितना होगा, and then they also declare something called the government's borrowing calendar. Borrowing calendar में कुछ नहीं होता, but they only tell कि कितना पैसा लेंगे और कब कब लेंगे. So month on month they tell कि how much money, April to March, of how much money every month will government take. Usually what happens is this borrowing calendar is front loaded, which means that अप्रैल टू सितंबर तक गवर्नमेंट जो है यूजुअली हर साल 55 से 60% पैसा ले लेती है हर साल. द मनी दैट इट हैज टू टेक, इट यूजुअली इट्स फ्रंट लोडेड. देयर फ्यू एक्सेप्शंस, कभी कभी एक्सेप्शंस हुए हैं कि सेकंड हाफ में भी लोडेड होता है, बट मोस्टली इट्स द फ्रंट लोडेड. नाउ इफ यू सी द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का जो बोरिंग कैलेंडर आया है, उसमें उसने क्लियरली बोला है जो ग्रॉस बोरिंग है, जो ग्रॉस बोरिंग करेगी वो करेगी 14.82 लाख करोड़ का. 14,82,000 करोड़ के ये बॉन्ड्स इशू करेंगे. क्या, ऑफ कोर्स हाउ दे रेज दिस मनी इज दे इशू द बॉन्ड्स, एंड दे इशू बॉन्ड्स. ये बॉन्ड्स कौन खरीदता है? ये बॉन्ड्स लेते हैं सारे योर banks लेते हैं. Your banks are actually, as we go ahead, I'll explain to you that banks are mandated to buy these bonds. They cannot say no. Then the lot of demand for these bonds come from the mutual funds, from the insurance sector. Now FIs have also started participating in the debt market. So net they will be borrowing 14.82 lakh crores. Now there's a negative number जो आपको दिख रहा है यहाँ पर, negative 3.28 lakh crores. What is this negative number? So जो पिछले सालों के अंदर गवर्नमेंट ने जो bonds issue करे हैं उनकी maturities भी तो आती हैं. Those bonds will also get mature. So when those bonds get mature, government will pay the money back. Okay. So there are few maturities. So the net borrowing जो होगा, and then of course there's very very short term borrowing that government keeps doing in the money market. For example, treasury bills हैं आपके 91 days, 182 days, 364 days. So government also, keeps playing very, very. So this is more of a working capital money that the government takes. जैसे आपने 2 लाख करोड़ या 2.5 लाख करोड़ के ट्रेजरी बिल्स इशू करे, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने 1 साल के इशू करे, वो 1 साल में मैच्योर हो गए, बिकॉज की वो दीज आर कॉल्ड मनी मार्केट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. ओके, सो दे वंस दे मैच्योर, सो इट ऑल्सो देन दे ऑल्सो मैच्योरिंग द सेम ईयर. और जो प्रीवियस साल में इशू करे थे वो भी मैच्योर हो गए 364 दिन बाद. सो बेसिकली नेट बोरिंग जो होगी, द मनी दैट दे विल बी एक्चुअली टेकिंग आउट ऑफ द मार्केट, the government would be only 11.5 lakh crores and not more, and not 15.7 lakh crores which it is written. So जो पैसा जो गवर्नमेंट मार्केट से लेगी वो होगा सिर्फ 11.5 लाख करोड़ रुपया नेट. So this is what the net borrowings are. We'll move to the next slide. So now if you see, what is happening is, like I mentioned, that this government has been fiscally, they've been extremely prudent. अगर आप ये देखिए, ये slide देखें, on the left side, ऊपर वाला अगर आप देखो, the one which reads prioritizing the capital expenditure. Now, if you see government का जो capital expenditure, the good money that they're spending out of the total expenditure was only 14% of the entire expenditure back in 2015-16. It was only 14% of the total expenditure, the capex. Now the same figure stands at 22%, which means that it is up by almost 50% in the last 10 odd years. And from where has this money come? If you see the revenue expenditure, like which is which just they have to spend just to get by, the money that they were spending was roughly 86% of the total revenue. That is sharply down to 78%. And why it came down? Because this government has been extremely prudent. They are trying to cut down the fiscal deficit year on year. So अगर आप fiscal deficit year on year घटा रहे हो तो आपका क्या होगा over time when you're reducing it continuously, आपका interest burden जो है economy का, जो आपको सिर्फ interest देना है bonds के ऊपर, वो भी घटता रहेगा. So because of it, the 86% revenue expenditure that they were doing in 15-16, it is down to 78% today. So this net saving here has gone to the capital expenditure build-up. So I hope you're following what I'm trying to tell you. Any questions if you have, you can possibly, you can ask me later. So this is how the non-tax. So this slide, the slide on the right, what it tells you is how the money has been coming. So about 28.4 lakh crores has been coming from the direct taxes, like we discussed, from the direct taxes or indirect taxes. And your non-tax revenue, like I explained to you, non-tax revenue is the money which government is getting from the RBI, because RBI is doing a lot of operations. Firstly, जो bonds issue करते हैं उसके ऊपर interest आता है, forex intervention करते हैं, forex intervention पे trading gains होते हैं, that money also RBI makes. Plus they also issuing, there's a currency printing charges. Plus they also hold forex, lot of forex. So for example, right now India's central bank is holding roughly around 640 billion US dollars. So all these उसके ऊपर वो bonds में होता है, डॉलर पे होता है, उस पे भी gains होते हैं. So all that is RBI's income, which it is also passing on to the government, so that government can utilize this money towards the expenditure in the budget. So all these non-tax revenues are also now very meaningful for the government. So which is roughly around 5.8 lakh crores. So now this chart talks about the tax buoyancy, which basically means that every year, whatever taxes they think that they'll get, they are a lot higher gains. So on average, जो है आप लगाइए, GST has actually surprised, in the economy on the upside. And there have been a lot of, so basically whatever taxes they think they will get in a year, they're usually getting a lot more taxes than that. So the tax income also for the government has been extremely buoyant. So, like I explained to you in the previous slide, what are the how will they fund the fiscal deficit? Market borrowing, ho gaya, small saving. So it basically tells you the same thing, that fiscal deficit 4.4%, and this is how the market borrowing would be. About net borrowing is 11.5 lakh crore. So this is what it tells you. This is how the fiscal deficit would be funded. Now, so this is how the trend has been in the in the disinvestments. Frankly, this has been a disappointment from the government, because if you see every year in the budget, government used to say that they will be able to raise an X amount from the disinvestment. Now, what is disinvestment? Government of India also has a lot of public companies, publicly listed companies or unlisted companies. So they also come out with a very aggressive disinvestment target, that I am going to sell this company of mine, because government should not be in the business, so they will sell it to the private sector. So whatever target they've given previously, they have been able to raise less money compared to that. So this has been a miss from the government's point of view. So disinvestment itna nahi hota. So on the right, if you see on the top, these are the few schemes which government is running. These are few welfare schemes. If you see, अगर आप देखें 2015-16 के अंदर जो सारी स्कीम्स चलती थी, मनरेगा होता था, नाउ we have महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी स्कीम, देन यू हैव प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना, Jal Jeevan Mission. So all these schemes back in 2015-16, we used to spend about 1 lakh crore in all these schemes. Today we are spending roughly around 3.7 lakh crores, which is a lot of money. Also, this money helps in propping up the rural economy, because वहाँ पे opportunities come hai, it's mostly the agriculture. So all these become very critical for the sanitization, for upliftment of the rural India. And all these schemes also contribute towards the growth of the economy. Now, on the lower chart on the left side, if you see, roughly around 48% of the money that government India is a poor economy. You have to do a lot for the welfare of people who can't afford, or people who are below poverty line. So out of, roughly around, say 4 lakh crores that government is spending, about 48% of the total subsidy that the government is giving, roughly around 4 lakh, almost 50% of that is just going in the food subsidy. So if you see the cursor, this was the COVID year. तो कोविड ईयर के अंदर गवर्नमेंट हैड टू spend a lot more money because of course you know that economy was in the lockdown and people were out of job. Every government had to do a lot of welfare that time. So that time, since we had spent so much of money in the economy and the sources of the revenue was shut because businesses were not working that time. तो आप देखें उस वक्त स्टेट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का जो फिजिकल डेफिसिट था, सो जो 4.4% फिजिकल डेफिसिट हम टारगेट करें वो सिर्फ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का है. All the state government, for example, Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, all the states also have their individual budgets. So the जो पूरा fiscal deficit for the country था, central plus state put together was as high as 12% that time. So now this fiscal deficit for center and states today, in the coming financial year, we are targeting that it should be about 7.4%, out of which 7.4%, about 4.4, as we discussed, is the central government, and just 3% is the state governments. So this is how the budget figures look. So this slide basically tells you the similar thing that where the government is spending money. A lot of money is being spent. Firstly, they've given a lot of money in the individual taxpayers' pocket. They're also spending money towards putting about 100. They're connecting 120 new airports, new destinations. So they're trying to penetrate and they're trying to go to tier 3, tier 4 cities, and they're trying to add that into the aviation sector. Also, they have said that they'll be developing 50 new tourist points. So this is how they are focusing on developing the consumption side of the economy. Now, if you see in terms of the capex, they've capex may from previous budget to this budget, there has been an increase of only 10%. 10.5 सवा 10 लाख करोड़ का था, अभी सर 11.25 लाख करोड़ का टोटल केपेक्स है. उसमें अराउंड इफ यू सी 67,000 crores is being spent on the Jal Jeevan mission, basically irrigation and sanitization of the rural part of India. So this is how the different so like on the healthcare, the important step they say was that about 37 life saving drugs, they were being heavily taxed, और उसके ऊपर उन्होंने टैक्स ड्यूटी जो है वो रिड्यूस कर दिया. They made it almost zero. So this is how these were the say a few key highlights of the budget. Now the next two slides. So one slide gives you equity market overview and the debt market overview. Equity market, I would be very happy to answer all the questions. But then I have one more presentation to share with you, which is the how RBI manages the money market. So I'll try and finish that in like 10-12 minutes, and then it'll be like we can leave it for the question answer, and of course after Rishi's session. So just allow me to stop this and I'll just populate the other slide. So when you can let me know if you can see. Okay, sure.
Yes.
So please concentrate on this topic because money market is a very easy thing to understand. However, there's a lot of confusion with regards to this market. Even people who have 10-15 years work experience are not very clear about the debt market. सबने सुना है. Debt market में the market which is most critical and which is the most dynamic is actually the money market. अब ये there are only 4-5 slides, and if you want, I can share these slides with you. Very easy to understand, but is it that people in general don't? Firstly, debt markets are a little more difficult to understand than the equity markets. In that, money markets are even more difficult to understand because there's no proper explanation for money market tools. Now, what is the money market? Money market basically, what is money market में क्या होता है? सिर्फ 91 days से 364 days तक के पेपर होते हैं. Okay. Those papers are called the money market instruments. Now, why is this important? Because RBI का जितना भी ऑपरेशन होता है, रेपो रेट घटाना, जैसे कल घटाया है, या बढ़ाना, या लिक्विडिटी एक सिस्टम में होती है. I'll explain to you. So just concentrate for the next 5-7 minutes. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer. But then I really want your attention because if you can understand it now, it'll be a lot better for you in your careers because this part is a little difficult to get handle of. Now, what is happening in the economy is, अगर आप देखें इंडिया के अंदर जितने भी बैंक्स हैं, be it private banks, PSU banks, or say the corporation banks, all the banks put together, there's जितना भी इनके पास दो तरीके से बैंक्स के पास पैसा आता है. एक तो सेविंग्स अकाउंट्स में आता है. सेविंग्स अकाउंट में they don't pay any interest. Plus they also get FDs, right? 1 साल की, 2 साल की, 6 महीने की FD, whatever tenure of FD. All this money is basically, it is called net demand time liabilities. Basically वो पैसा जो बैंक से कभी भी जा सकता है या एक सेट टाइम के बाद जाएगा. Okay. Can you read this? I don't know if you can see it. That's written NDTL here. Can you read this?
We
NDTL's
can
full
see
form
it. Yes,
is,
yes, we
yeah.
can see it.
NETL's full form is net demand time liabilities. It basically means whatever money that government owed to the outsiders who have deposited with the banks. Now, बैंक के दो ऑपरेशन हैं. एक तो डिपॉजिट्स लेता है या सेविंग्स अकाउंट में लोग पैसा डालते हैं, और ये एडवांसेस देते हैं, लोन्स बांटते हैं. Whatever the entire deposit base is basically part of the NDTL. सारे बैंक्स का मैं पैसा मिला लूं तो उसको मैं नेट डिमांड टाइम लायबिलिटीज बोल लूंगा. इंडिया का जो NDTL है रफली इज अराउंड 35 लाख करोड़, 35 लाख करोड़ का NDTL है. दिस इज जस्ट फॉर द एकेडमिक नॉलेज. नाउ फॉर एवरी 100, सो अभी आप मान लीजिए सारे बैंक्स का NDTL मान लीजिए जो 35 लाख करोड़ है वो सिर्फ 100 रुपए है अभी. ठीक है. Out of this 100 rupees that is lying in the NDTL across the banks, everything put together, banks are required to set aside 4% in CRR, which means the cash reserve ratio. So this money banks have to give to the RBI. RBI के साथ मेंटेन करना पड़ता है. इसके ऊपर बैंक को कोई इंटरेस्ट कुछ नहीं मिलता. दिस इज लाइक अ जीरो मनी. इसका ना होना बराबर है. इसके ऊपर कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं मिलता. उसके बाद they have to maintain 18% in the statutory liquidity ratio. Now SLR is where जो हमने डिस्कस करा फिस्कल डेफिसिट, और वो कहाँ से रेज होता है. वो बैंक्स, आई टोल्ड यू के बैंक्स हैव टू नेसेसरली बाय द गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड्स. सो दिस इज अ मैंडेटेड 18% that all the banks have to maintain. All they have to do is they have to buy the securities which are issued by the government, which are eligible for the SLR. So this is from where that demand for that those bonds is coming, which government is trying to raise for the fiscal deficit. So 18% is the SLR, CRR is 4%, and all these percentages. अब है क्या, अगर आप देखें बैंक के पास there are so many accounts that the banker has. Now, if you're a banker, do you think your client will tell you that he is about to give you 400 additional crores today? Or when he's trying to cut a check of 1,000 crore rupees today to say he's bought a company, he's paying 1,000 crores. You think is he obligated to tell the bank chairman that I'm taking 1,000 crore rupees out of my own money out? He is not. So, both these ratios in that sense become very dynamic. ठीक है. इसको आपको डेली एवरेज पे मेंटेन करना पड़ता है. बट यू डोंट नो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे कि आपके पास कितना पैसा सिस्टम में आएगा या सिस्टम से कितना पैसा निकलेगा, बिकॉज द ट्रांजेक्शन आर हैपनिंग ऑन द मिनट टू मिनट बेसिस. ओके, आर वी क्लियर टिल हियर? Now, what happens is, if a banker is flush with a lot of money, he has excess money. This money is not giving him anything. मान लीजिए बहुत सारा पैसा आ गया, उसके पास ये CRR मेंटेन्ड है, SLR मेंटेन्ड है, but he has excess of money. At the same time, if he has excess of money, there will be banks who are short of this money also, right? Because money इसके पास आया तो कहीं से निकला भी होगा. So all those banks are required to maintain these ratios. So what will these banks do which have either less or excess of this money? So they are basically two windows. One second. So they are, I'll skip this, I'll come to this later. So there are two windows. There are two windows how banks usually give and take money to each other. There's a window called call money. कॉल मनी के अंदर सिर्फ देर आर बैंक्स हु इंटरचेंजेबली गिव ईच अदर मनी along with the primary dealers. Primary dealers कौन होते हैं? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जब when they issuing the like for example जो हमने डिस्कस करा फिस्कल डेफिसिट के अंदर the money that or the bonds that they'll be issuing. For example अगर डिमांड नहीं आई बैंकर से तो क्या होगा? So primary dealers are the appointed agents by the government who underwrite this that in case there is no demand and they make some money on it. They get a fee. So on the call money which is unsecured, and I'll tell you why it is unsecured window. So जो ये लोग पैसा एक दूसरे से एक्सचेंज करते हैं, there are two windows. फर्स्ट विंडो इज कॉल मनी. ठीक है. इंटर बैंक इसको बोलते हैं. इसके ऊपर बैंक्स गिव ईच अदर द मनी. दिस इज अनसिक्योर्ड विंडो व्हिच मींस दैट मनी इज बीइंग एक्सचेंज बिटवीन द बैंक्स बट देयर इज नो सिक्योरिटी व्हिच इज बीइंग गिवन टू ईच अदर. ये परसेप्शन ड्रिवन मार्केट है. दैट ऋषि नोज रजत इज लिक्विड, ही कैन पे मी द मनी बैक. So he'll be able to give me the money and I can also give the same money back to him. So this is unsecured window. However, call money ka jo window hai, gets gets closed very it closes early, during the day, and then the rest of the lending and the borrowing that banks have to do amongst each other, then it gets transferred to traps का full form है ट्राई पार्टी रेपो. ट्राई पार्टी रेपो के अंदर कौन कौन पार्टिसिपेट करता है? बैंक्स करते हैं, प्राइमरी डीलर करते हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड वाले करते हैं, इंश्योरेंस करते हैं, बिकॉज म्यूचुअल फंड ऑल्सो इफ यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड एवो we also have a lot of government bonds. Okay, the government bond funds that we run, or every scheme of mine will have some, say, either the short term bonds or the medium term or the long term bonds. So this is the TREPS window, which again is used for the banks to give and take money, but this is a secured window, that if a mutual fund guy is giving money to a banker, we will take some money, some securities of his as exchange. Or जो securities हम लेते हैं, those have to be the government securities only. These are not the private sector ones. So, or you will always see that the call rate and the TREPS rate आपस में they are very closely linked. आपस में इन दोनों में 20-30 पैसे का फर्क होता है, बट सिंस ट्रैप्स विंडो इज अ सिक्योर्ड विंडो जिसमें सिक्योरिटी ली दी जाती है, इसका रेट कॉल रेट से थोड़ा सा कम होता है, 25-30 पैसा कम होता है. नाउ वी विल गो बैक टू द प्रीवियस स्लाइड. Now you understood how the money gets exchanged between all the banks and why do they do it, because they have to maintain these ratios. Now what happens is, now you've seen that RBI yesterday has cut the repo rate by 25 basis points. Ab latest figures hai, repo stands at 6.25%. Now, if you see, repo rate is a desired rate at which RBI says ki I'm happy. I want the rate. I want if the money is being exchanged in the economy at 6.25%. But is it the actual rate at which money goes? Possibly not, because what is happening is there are so many transactions happening between the banks. Some banks are, they have excess money, some banks have less money, and they're exchanging money all the time. Whenever the liquidity, and we will talk about liquidity, what affects liquidity, whenever the liquidity conditions in the economy get tighter, which means जब banks के पास कम liquidity होता है, तो जो आपके ये rates हैं, call rates and the trap rates, which actually tell you किस rate पे transmission हो रहा है, they start hovering around the MSF rate, marginal sending facility, which is around 6.5%. Okay, when the liquidity gets tighter in the economy. अगर 6.5% पे हो रहा है, it is okay, there is nothing to panic. If it is there for 10-15 days, it is still okay. But if this starts happening at, say, a monthly basis, or if it is consistent, if there's a trend, and if the government knows, or the RBI knows that these conditions are not uh, temporary, they are permanent, then what they'll do is, because the idea is to give money at repo rate, which is 6.25%, then they will come out and do something called a open market operation. Okay, when the liquidity is getting tighter, अगर लिक्विडिटी मार्केट में टाइट है, तो आरबीआई क्या करेगी? आरबीआई बोलेगा आप मेरे को अपने कुछ बॉन्ड भेज दो, मैं आपको कैश दे देता हूं बैंक्स को, एंड द बैंक्स का लिक्विडिटी सिचुएशन गेट्स बेटर. And when liquidity situation in the market is ample and banks are flush with the liquidity, there's too much of liquidity happening, and we'll discuss what affects liquidity in the coming slides. That time, all your trap rates and the call rates, they start trading somewhere around the standing debt facility rate, which is 6%. Again, अगर temporary है तो okay है, does not matter. But then if it is consistent, then RBI will again do a OMO. They will say कि I am now, I want cash from you. Since you have too much of cash, you buy some bonds, and that's how it balances the money market operations. Now you've understood what is. Now let's discuss what is liquidity. So liquidity is nothing but the money that banks have, like we discussed, transactions are happening, money is coming, money is going. What basically affects this liquidity with the banks? Now the factors, and of course, like we discussed, liquidity दो terms use करते हैं, fancy terms हैं, durable, which means sustainable, and transient liquidity, यानी कि temporary problem है. So these are, you just have to know that they use these fancy terms. Durable, which means परमानेंट हो गया, ट्रांजिएंट मींस समथिंग विच इज टेम्परेरी. अगर ट्रांजिएंट है तो आरबीआई कुछ नहीं करेगा, अगर ड्यूरेबल है, सस्टेनेबल है, परमानेंट है, then they will try and do the OMOs and try to balance everything out, like we just got discussed. Now what are the factors which are affecting this liquidity in the banking system on monthly basis? So फॉर एग्जाम्पल राइट नाउ आपने देखा है कि इंडियन रुपी जो है वो 82-83 से अभी 87.5 हो गया, राइट? अब ये क्यों हुआ? Now what is happening is, if you see US के अंदर your dollar has started strengthening. Dollar बढ़ना चालू हो गया है. Dollar is getting, so there's something called a dollar index that you have to track. Dollar index from 100 has become 110. There's a 10% increase in the dollar index, which means that dollar is becoming a lot stronger. अब ये डॉलर क्यों स्ट्रांग हुआ है? अगर आप देखो यूएस के अंदर जो उसका 10 ईयर है वो 3.6 था when Trump got elected. It last month it has hit 4.8. यूएस के अंदर जो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स हैं they are getting a lot stronger. When the interest rates in any economy start to get a lot stronger, the currency starts getting strengthened. जब यूएस आपका डॉलर स्ट्रेंथन हो रहा है तो उसके अगेंस्ट जो इंडियन आपका जो रुपी है दैट इज डेप्रिशिएटिंग. एंड व्हाई इज इट डेप्रिशिएटिंग? बिकॉज आपके एक मार्केट के अंदर एफ आई एस हैं जो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. एफ आई एस आर टेकिंग दिस मनी बैक. They're pulling the money out of the system. And why they're doing it? Because FI ने जब पैसा लिया था यूएस से तो उसने तब पैसा लिया था जब उसका यूएस 10 ईयर था 3 जो 10 ईयर था उसका 3.6 पे था. अब हो गया है 10 ईयर 4.8 पे. तो एक तो उसको इंटरेस्ट रेट ज्यादा देना पड़ रहा है, प्लस आपको जो इंडिया में रुपी है वो 81 82 से अब आपको 87 हो गया है. अगर आप एफ आई थे, आपने इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट किया था, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप $1 बिलियन लेके आए थे जब इंडिया का रुपी 82 पे था, तो आपको 8200 रुपए 82,000 8200 करोड़ मिल गए. Now you are losing money on three parts. Firstly, you have to pay more interest to USA, and your rupee has depreciated from 80 to 87. अगर आपको आज आप एफ आई you are an FI, if you have to sell the money, and if when you sell your money you get, what do you get rupees. Now from these rupees you have to take the money out, you have to buy the dollars from Indian market, right? आपको सेम डॉलर आपको 87 पे खरीदना पड़ रहा है. तो आपको मिला था 82 में, खरीदना आपको 87 में पड़ रहा है, तो आपका नुकसान वहां पे भी हो गया. करेंसी का नुकसान आप खा रहे हो. आप नुकसान खा रहे हो यूएस में इंटरेस्ट रेट प्ले, प्लस इंडियन मार्केट्स वर एनीवेज वी हैड डन अ लॉट बेटर देन लॉट ऑफ मार्केट्स, वी वर एक्सपेंसिव, राइट? So this is the reason why FIs have been pulling the money out, which you've just learned. This is nothing to do with India. It's more to do with the US 10-year GSEC and the US dollar becoming stronger. So now, I digressed a bit just to explain to you. So the factors which are affecting the liquidity in the system are the forex. अब forex में कैसे government intervention, RBI कैसे intervene करता है? For example, RBI has RBI about 2-3 months back had about $700 billion के reserves थे. Now they've been doing, now since dollar is getting strengthened every day, what the RBI is doing is RBI is selling the dollars in the market. जब वो मार्केट में डॉलर्स बेच रहा है, किसको बेच रहा है? बैंक को बेच रहा है. ठीक है, दे आर सेलिंग डॉलर्स एंड दे आर टेकिंग रुपीज आउट. When they're taking rupees out, then rupees are getting lesser and lesser with the banks. That is why the liquidity is getting shrunk. 1 लाख करोड़ की लिक्विडिटी सिस्टम में वो 4.5 लाख करोड़ की डेफिसिट में हो गई थी. ठीक है, सो दिस इज वन फैक्टर विच अफेक्ट्स द लिक्विडिटी इन द मार्केट और विद द बैंक्स. Every quarter, if you our parents are businessmen, if you own a business, you know that every quarter you have to pay the GST. आपको जीएसटी देना पड़ता है. जब जीएसटी का पैसा बैंक से निकल के आरबीआई के पास जाता है तो ये पैसा कम हो जाता है सिस्टम के अंदर. टेम्परेरी होता है, 15-20 दिन की बात होती है, बट द मनी फिजिकली गेट्स आउट ऑफ द बैंकिंग सिस्टम, गोज टू आरबीआई. दैट ऑल्सो मेक्स द लिक्विडिटी वेरी टाइट. अब गवर्नमेंट जो है खर्चा, गवर्नमेंट लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग दैट दे विल बी स्पेंडिंग अबाउट 11 लाख करोड़. अब गवर्नमेंट जब भी 11.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए खर्चा करेगी बजट वाला, दिस मनी गोज इनटू द सिस्टम एज टू द लिक्विडिटी. लेकिन देयर आर टाइम्स व्हेन गवर्नमेंट स्टॉप स्पेंडिंग द मनी टेम्परेरीली. फॉर एग्जांपल जब इलेक्शंस हुए इंडिया के अंदर अभी इन अप्रैल में, government was not spending any money because government was under some restrictions. They cannot have done a lot of things for the election point of view. So that time liquidity got a lot tighter in the economy. Okay, so now for example when Diwali comes or when any other major festival comes, lot of money from the banking system goes out because people have to buy, say, raw material, because they anticipate because raw material से ये मेरी factories चलेंगी. You have to buy, for example, gifts for your relatives. People start spending money around the festival, right? That's how the economy moves. So around the festival time also the liquidity gets a lot tighter in the economy. Okay. Plus, whatever these balances with the RBI, for example, जो भी GST का भी RBI के पास गया, अगर आरबीआई अभी खर्चा नहीं करती है केपेक्स के अंदर, अभी ये पैसा होल्ड करके रखती है जीएसटी का, इवन ऑल दैट स्टार्ट अफेक्टिंग द लिक्विडिटी इन द मार्केट. So I don't know if I was able to explain to you. This is a very simple concept, but a very relevant one. So this is from my side. Just to explain to you some terms. Uh, repo is basically at the price at which RBI wants money to go to in the economy. variable reverse repo. Basically, when the liquidity situation is very tight in the market, like we discussed, then government will do something called a variable repo करते हैं. Basically, they try to anything which is beyond 13 days repo comes under variable reverse repo, and they try and put some liquidity back of some permanent nature in the market. These are the minimum, like we discussed. CRR hai, SLR hai, I've told you all that. OMO I just told you. MSF and SDF rate I just explained to you. The MSF जो होता है वो सीलिंग होता है, and SDF is basically the floor rate and repo rate. इन तीनों के बीच के अंदर जो है ये rates घूमते हैं. So like we discussed, MSF marginal sending facility, repo rate, SDF rate, रेट जो घूमते हैं आपके ट्रैप्स के कॉल रेट के, इन्हीं, दिस इज लाइक द टॉप सीलिंग, दिस इज लाइक द लोअर सीलिंग, इसी के बीच के अंदर रेट घूमते हैं. इसके अगर ऊपर सस्टेनेबली जाता रहेगा, परमानेंटली जाएगा, देन आरबीआई विल डू एन ओएमओ टू ईज द सिचुएशन आउट. So I think this is from my side. I don't know if I was able to explain to you this. So I'll
So I
stop
think,
sharing.
no, Rajat, I'm pretty sure that all of us really loved the presentation in terms of your explanation of the budget. And many critical aspects that at times we just overlook, we don't really see it, but that really helps us to, now get better in terms of where should we invest money. So I think that is one of the great things. And second is your explanation of how the banking system works. I mean, the entire spectrum of the central bank and its interventions and things. So, Rajat, we do have very interesting questions, but we'll take it after my small presentation, right? So,
Sure,
I also have a couple of questions, so I'm just waiting to get that done, and then we'll discuss it, and I'm sure we'll all of us will learn from it, right?
sure, sure.
So, friends, now I'll just share my presentation. Yes. So, one second. So, friends, I'll quickly share with you our very interesting program, which is the Certified Financial Planner, and why one must pursue it. Because if you want to really make a big impact in the banking financial services industry, like Rajat today, right? So CFP certification does help. What Rajat explained you is something which is ingrained in our curriculum of this global certification, and it helps you to really become a better financial advisor, or you can really get a good career break if you pursue it. So, friends, the CFP certification, it's a US based certification. You can understand the best financial courses, they always come from the US. The CFP certification is valid in 20 leading geographies of the world. So where there is money, where there is money available for investments, you need a great, capable financial advisor or financial planner, who has the skills of a of a certified financial planner program. Friends, this is a unique 4-in-1 certification program. Now, friends, there are two parts to it, but if I just explain to you, let's say in the regular pathway, there are four. It's a unique program whereby you get four certificates. So it's not like that if I don't clear it, I am not a CFP. As you clear the different milestones in between, you get recognized by the board, and that is something which many of our candidates are right now using it in their personal professions to their skill sets. Friends, this certified financial plan certification is focused on personal finance. Now, there is no debate about it. When you pursue this course, when you put it in front across, let's say, to a recruiter, to an organization, to the HR of these companies, they very clearly know that you are someone who technically is a specialist in terms of personal finance requirements, in terms of advising, investments, and a lot of those things which I'll just explain in the next slides. And you are there to make a career out of it. So it's a serious effort that you've done. So that's again a very strong message that goes. And this certification can easily be done in, let's say, roughly around 5 to 6 months, or maybe an year, depending upon which pathway you go. So I'll explain that ahead, but not more than 1 year for sure. What is the eligibility, friends? Anyone who has completed 10 plus 2, he is 18 years of age, from any stream, does not really matter. You can join the CFP program to pursue. And friends, but what happens actually is that once you clear the CFP certification, you've done everything that is required in the program. You will be given a CFP mark if you are a graduate. If and along with that, there's an experience requirement of 3 years in the banking, financial services, or insurance sector. If you don't have it, don't worry. ICFP will definitely help you to get 1 year of supervised articleship under a CFP. Like I have three research assistants who are working with me at the moment, who are here for getting this 1 year of supervised articleship so that they can get this certification, then move ahead in their careers. Friends, now I'll just give you briefly about the curriculum of CFP. Friends, as I mentioned that in the regular pathway, you have 4 levels. So level 1 has 3 modules, which is personal financial management, investment planning, and regulatory compliance. Friends, when I talk about the first module, personal financial management, it is about how can we, for a client, we can understand what is the situation of a client in terms of whether what is his net worth, right? Can I really understand, does he have an emergency fund? Yes, no, or how the case is, right? Uh, how can I help the client goals? How can I help the client? Can I really mathematically compute the amount of money that he requires for different goals? I can do that. Can I really strategize it in terms of how do I really want to see the movement of cash flows? I can do that. So this is a very, very strong module where it also incorporates all the rules and regulations. And I mean, how do you really, understand and skillfully pursue the time value of money, right? The power of compounding. So that is something which we cover here. Coming to investment planning, asset management, friends, in this module, we cover, we explain you on all the four or all the leading, basically, major four, yes, of course, more as leading asset classes, which is equity, fixed income, real estate. Then you have gold, alternates as well now, right? And how do you really develop portfolios? How do you really assess the risk of the portfolios? How do you rebalance them? And how do you, I mean, even to give you a sense of like Rajat was explaining. So this all concept of money markets and the other long-term debt securities, that the entire bonds concept is explained very, very, so that you are able to understand and guide your client on the fixed income side as well, not only equities, right? Everything. Friends, we all understand that the BFSI industry is a regulated industry whereby you have SEBI and RBI very clearly looking at everything that happens. So the our curriculum, the CFP curriculum, does help you to even understand what are the regulations, how do you have to incorporate that, and also so that you are well aware and you are the so that it sends, my understanding is it sends a very strong message to the recruiter that as far as compliances are concerned, you will be very good at them because you already have studied about them. Coming to level, this is retirement and tax planning specialist. Friends, here we cover 2 modules, which is retirement planning. This is the biggest goal of anyone in today, because all of us have to retire one fine day. We will stop earnings, right? It is most of us today are working in the private sector, so we don't really have any kind of backup. We have to generate our own retirement corpuses. So then, what are the leading retirement products? What kind of a corpus can I really build? What strategies should I be using? Not only in the accumulation stage, but also in the withdrawal stage. How do I really create that monthly income for my client? I will even teach you on a lot of concepts of as I said, the distribution stage, which is on bucket strategy, maybe some kind of 4% rule. So a lot of things are there, mathematical things which you can learn, and you can really design a very good retirement portfolio for your client. Friends, retirement doesn't, it's only not about the money that has to be invested. You also have to see that our entire proposition, which is the planning proposition, is tax. There's a tax advantage that we've taken. We've tried to make it tax efficient in terms of that we are using the best products, which are not too heavy on the tax part, right? So you'll be trained on all the five heads of income, and especially on the capital gain side. So because a lot of investment clients will make, and then they'll make money, and then they'll come to us to give them the best path on how they can save taxes. Coming to level three, friends, this is known as risk and estate planning specialist. We have two modules: risk planning and estate planning. Risk planning is basically uh, focused on insurance. So as I'm sure of us understand, it's what to make wealth, right? To convert our monthly cash flow into wealth. But there's another thing which is risk. We all are facing risk because we don't know what really happens. So we have to be better be prepared on this. So then one is you have an emergency fund. Second is you have to see the adequacy of the let's say the term life insurance and the health insurances that we have. Other adequacies also in terms of, do I really require professional indemnity if I'm, let's say, a lawyer or a doctor? So that kind of a end-to-end insurance gap analysis is something that we will train you on. Also, how do you really estimate life value of a client based on the his his assets? Then, friends, coming to is the next module is estate planning. So basically, friends, estate planning is very important today because our assets, as I mentioned, we are India are turning wealthy, so that can also lead to this if there is no less transfer to the next generations, right? So in terms of estate, how do you really guide your clients in setting up, let's say, a private trust? How do you really help clients in putting up the gift deeds, draft will? So all that is going to be covered here. Friends, now comes the final level, which is in the final level, friends, we have to basically the board expects us to submit a 360-degree holistic financial plan, and along with that, a final exam which we have to go, which is 3 hours, right? It is either or not. So we can submit the plan later, and we can go for the. This has become flexible since roughly around, I think, 2023 August. Friends, it's not the journey of a financial planner advisor does not end at only the hard skills. This because this is human, right? We're dealing with humans who have a lot of aspirations. They have some psychology at times which is not efficient. So we have to develop a lot of skills, soft skills during our journey of CFP, and ICFP is going to guide you in that as well. So as a CFP, friends, you have to understand about the practice standards that you have to follow. There are rules of conducts that we follow because we that is these are ways in which we can show our differentiation. Friends, there are also some professional responsibilities that we have to learn and we have to follow. Ethically very strong. We also will train you on how do you really increase your empathetic learning skills. There's certain items which has been leading researches globally, and that is also things that we'll be sharing with you in terms of what is appreciative inquiry, how do you really discover a client, what is critical thinking, how do you really get into it, and of all of this, friends, behavioral finance or maybe investor psychology is something that is the in thing, and the CFP curriculum has it, and it is exceptionally important to create a differentiation as to compared to any other advisor anywhere in the world. So that is a clear distinction which the CFP curriculum transitions you into. What are the career opportunities, friends? Once you complete your CFP certification, friends, there's no end to the kind of jobs that you can pursue in the BFSI industry. You can go in wealth management, private banking, you can get into portfolio management, asset management companies, insurance companies, banks, brokers, right? Let's say financial advisors, financial planners who create plans, right? You can even, let's say, become a tax specialist, right? So lot of careers all across the board, and which and you should uh, be and we all understand that the BFSI industry is growing, so why not be riding on a boat which is really in a very good scenario at the moment. Friends, the question now comes is, why should you, once you decide to pursue CFP, why should you choose the International College of Financial Planning? Friends, ICOFP uh, is part of the Bajaj Capital Group. I'm sure you're aware that Bajaj Capital has been a leading financial services company, the most trusted one since the last 6 decades, over 6 decades now. Friends, in fact, just to let you know, the CFP certification was brought to India by ICOFP. So we are the pioneers in this business, the oldest, the largest, and the most effective when it comes to introducing and sustaining financial planning as as a profession in India today. Since 2002, ICFP has been number one. When it comes to faculties, friends, we have more than 35 faculties training people every year with regard to the certification. Friends, our faculties have, they don't come with a uh, single experience and qualification. They have multiple qualifications and a total combined experience of roughly around 130 years of professional experience, and more than, at least what I've computed recently, is more than 75 years of CFP teaching experience. So that is great, which is not comparable to any other education provider as far as the CFP certification is concerned. Highest number of CFP certificates come from ICOFP, and the largest alumni, in fact, batch of CFPs in India is basically from ICOFP. Friends, this is a slide on our leading staff faculties that we have. So as you look at, you can see that each of us have several years of professional experience with multiple qualifications. Friends, Miss Madhusena is our academic dean of ICOFP, and just to let you know, in the year 2023-24, the year 2023-24, she won the award for Educator of the Year from the Financial Planning Standard Board, which is the parent board of the CFP certification in India. Friends, when it comes to the study options, we have two options at the moment, friends. So one is whereby you can take virtual sessions, which means faculties like me are going to come on the Zoom panel, and where we'll impart the teaching. So it's highly interactive. It brings an X amount of knowledge and clarity of subject during the session itself, friends. But at times we've seen that people are not able to commit. Uh, they're not able to commit time specifically for a session. So then they can go for an alternative route, which is the e-learning pathway, whereby we provide access to our learning management system, and there you have studio recorded sessions by the same faculties, but these are recorded sessions which you can go as per your convenience, and so that it brings in complete flexibility as per your requirement. And just to let you know, the virtual sessions, friends, we do understand that most of us are working in the daytime, so it happens evenings on weekdays, and on weekends, which is Sunday, it will be in the morning, so that you have your entire day for your other activities. Friends, when it comes to learning resources, friends, the CFP certification curriculum actually was designed at ICFP by the very same faculties when it was brought first time to India. So we, as I mentioned earlier as well, we are pioneers in this certification, friend. So when I talk about, when I say very clearly that our curriculum is the most comprehensive, because we provide you access to concept books, workbooks, also access to a learning management system where there are the learning management system has a host of interesting features, like we provide you mock tests over there. We have module-wise notes present there. There are case studies. There are assignments which you have to pursue. So there's a lot of testing that we do, because we want our candidates to be really, really good at the concept, so that they can really turn into very efficient, very popular advisors, planners, and have good careers once they go in the industry. Friends, now I'll give you quickly a brief about the fee of the CFP certification. Friends, there are two parts of the fee. One is which is charged by the parent board, which is the Financial Planning Standard Board. Friends, if you look at it, as I was mentioning, that when it comes to regular pathway, where anyone who is uh, 10 plus 2, he can start pursuing this course through the regular pathway, there are four levels that as I explained to you. Now, the fee from the board is as herewith. Firstly, friends, you have to pay a registration fee of 18,000 rupees, which is valid for 1 year. Friends, the board has very clearly specified that it has made it mandatory for all candidates to buy their EBooks. Friends, we don't have to pay the just give me 1 second, please. Yes. So friends, we don't have to really pay for the ebooks at one go, which is 32,500. No, as you move forward in the system, let's say you are applying, you're right now, let's say studying level one. So once you are about to plan for this, you will have to pay for 6,500 rupees on the book. Get the books, you study that, you're ready with level, let's say the level one, you're ready for the examination, then you have to pay the exam fee, which again will be 6,750. So we don't have to really pay this 32, 33 together. We will have to do it as we move forward in the system. Okay, friends. So as I mentioned that in the final level, you have two aspects to it. So in the case of financial plan assessment, the fee that the board charges 10 rupees, and the final exam the fee is, friends, 13,000 rupees. So once you clear the CFP, you will be given the certification based on the experience. Okay. Friends, now, as I was mentioning that one can pursue and complete CFP within 6 months to 1 year. I've explained you the regular pathway. Now, to give you a little sense of fast pathway. Friends, this was a need that was felt by the board, that there are many people who have the relevant education and experience in the domain itself. So why not give them a fast track pathway whereby they only need to appear and clear the level four, which is basically they have to get their financial plan approved by the board, and they have to clear the final exam. Okay. So, so for this, friends, now there's an eligibility criteria and experience criteria which the board provides, and I want to just briefly discuss this. Anyone who is CFA, CPA, MBA in any stream, right? Or is a postgraduate in economics, commerce, finance. He's a chartered accountant, or he is not even a complete chartered accountant, but he is a CA intern with 3 years of articleship. So this is what, if people have this eligibility there, they are in the system, they should be, and that's why the board says that you can apply for the fast track pathway, and you can complete the CFP in 6 months. Along with the education, friends, you need experience of 3 years in the BFSI sector, so which is banks, mutual funds, insurance, being in broker, security company, so all of that, and I've seen the board helps in this sense, because they understand that since, as I mentioned, the idea is to make you guys for you guys to upskill yourself quickly, and take and get rewarded with this certification to really make good in your careers. Friends, what are the USP of the fast track program at ICFP? Friends, we have made it an industry mark in the fast track program, because we provide you a host of a host of things. Firstly, we provide you, as I was mentioning about the modules. So if someone joins fast track, he's directly landed in level 4. So we provide you roughly minimum 52 hours of live interactive sessions for explaining the modules. Then, friends, you are also trained on the final project. You also have your level 4 classes, in terms of, so that you're able to very easily, smoothly address the requirements of the final exam. Friends, we provide mentors in the final level. Yes. So this is a unique proposition in the industry today, whereby ICFP provides our existing alumni who cleared their CFP in 2024, right? So we provide the latest alumni as your mentors. The message to the mentors is very clear: to provide hand-holding support, so that we see that each candidate who enrolls in both, either the regular pathway, I mean, either through the regular pathway or the fast track pathway, they are helped to clear the exam as soon as possible. Now, friends, I'll explain you about the board fee of the fast track pathway. Friends, there's a validation fee of 5,000 rupees. Then, friends, there is the board charges a fee of 34,000 for the registration and FBSP content. As again, coming back to the final, I've already explained this, that the final exam has a financial plan assessment. The fee is same as regular pathway, 10,500. Then we have a final exam and a CFP certification fee of 10,500. Now, friends, coming to the CFP study fee of ICOFP. Friends, if you look at on the screen, you have I've divided this into three parts, which is virtual learning is instructor-led classes, e-learning recorded, and fast-track pathways for with the requisite education and experience. Now, friends, level-wise fee for virtual learning, which is on Zoom session, is level-wise it comes to a gross of 80,000. But our four-in-one package is we charge you 60,000 rupees for it, for which you have to pay 10,000 and rest can be in easy interest free 6 easy EMIs. And that's the case with everyone. So in e-learning, friends, we charge you a four-in-one fee of 45,000 rupees. And in the case of fast track, our fee is 35,000. But for fast track, as I mentioned, you need the education experience. E-learning is good for people who cannot really commit to the class timings, because we want attendance and we want you to be regularly there, right? And virtual learning is something which people who can commit time, and we have you have the convenience of joining either a weekday batch or a weekend batch as per schedule, which I'm sure Christian can certainly discuss, or you can discuss with the counselors after the session is over. Friends, there's a special offer that we have. We have some special offers today because for the webinars, we do usually have it. Firstly, friends, what we have is that if anyone who enrolls today in the regular pathway and he clears his CFP, right, then the first year's certification fee of 10,500 will be bared by ICOFP. Right. So you have to pay it, then you have to show it that you've done. We'll check it, check the records with the board, and we will reimburse it back to you. So this is again a USP and industry first that we've done. By the way, on the right side is my certification. It's that, but I didn't have this offer when I was actually with ICFP pursuing my CFP. Friends, offer for today, a flat 10% discount on all pathways, which is virtual learning, e-learning, and fast track pathway today, friends. Along with this, another offer for the webinar today is that, as I mentioned, there's a content fee that we have to pay to FPSP. Which is, so what we are going to do, we're going to share with you discount coupons which will help you save 50% on the content fee. Along with this, friends, we also understand that along with CFP, people also need to pursue some other qualifications as well. So NISM 5A, which is Mutual Fund Distributor Module, e-learning videos of 15 hours, so that you can easily crack it. We're going to provide you today as pro bono. It is free of cost. You usually charge 5,000 rupees for this. Along with this, friends, 7 hours of premium recorded lectures worth 5,000 rupees free of cost today as an offer comes to you to learn how do you trade in efficiently trade in the stock market and really make money out of it. Okay, friends. So the offer for today, if I just combine it, it comes to roughly around 32,000. And which you can either pay lump sum, or you can even go for an EMI option with 0% interest at 6 easy EMIs. Okay, so the number on the screen 9711437779 is one way you can call. You can ask your queries with respect to the curriculum or any other aspect to our counselors who are waiting. Now it's time that you can ask your questions, queries on CFP, as well as your questions, queries on budgets and all the discussion that Rajat made. So please feel free. Rajat, we have a couple of questions. I think I can see them already.
Sure.
Uh, yeah. So I think I've answered this.
Sure. I'll just see the
One
question.
second.
Okay.
Uh, 1 second. I think they were, yeah. Uh, Kishika Prasicha is saying, please repeat RBI selling dollars part. I think she just wants a sense of that when we were discussing the money market.
Right. So see, what is happening is, uh, so what is, that, the dollar has actually strengthened in the last couple of months, and it has strengthened quite a bit. So now, what happens is when the US dollar is strengthening, RBI has to come out and save rupee, and rupee is getting, because see, dollar is the reserve currency. In India also, we have around $630 as forex reserve, 630 billion US dollar as forex reserve. So what happens is when your rupee is, losing the strength, when it is depreciating, there's liquidity in the market, right? So what happens is, RBI will come, and from the forex that it holds, it will start selling the dollars. When it is selling the dollars, ये dollars किसी को तो बेचेंगे. Who are the selling dollars to? If there's no counterparty, who will buy a depreciating asset, right? So they would be, banks, because banks also, every day that transactions happening, the companies or the clients bank may, they are getting so much of dollars. So banks are holders of the dollars. So what they're doing is, RBI, to save rupee, they are going and they are selling a lot of dollars in the market just to save rupee. What is happening because of that is, when you're selling dollar, आप उसका सप्लाई ज्यादा कर रहे हो, सप्लाई ज्यादा होगा तो आपका रुपी जो है कब डेप्रिशिएट होगा. But what is happening is, because of it, the liquidity in the system, rupees are going out of the system. They're going out of the bank's liquidity, and they're going to RBI. So they're causing the tightness in the liquidity market. When they're causing the tightness in the liquidity, what is happening is, all your call rates and trap rates, as we discussed, they should be around repo rate, but they're inching more towards the MSF rate. If they're towards the MSF rate for like week 10 days, which is okay, but if they're permanently, or if it's a durable liquidity crunch in the market, and if they're permanently there, then RBI will start doing the open market operations. What RBI will do is, now since the market में liquidity tight hai, RBI will say, okay, I am giving you some cash, I'm giving you some rupees, and I'm going to take some bonds out. So that's how they are trying to, and they actually did something around 27th of January. You can actually search about it. So this is what is RBI is doing with regards to the dollars. I hope I'm clear.
Thank you, Rajat. Rajat, there's another question from Mr. Balu Prakasam. He says, US Fed has been keeping on printing USD, the dollar, but RBI has limitations. So why is the difference? If US keeps printing the USD, will it impact the economy of US?
See, the thing is, US is a very smart economy, and not from now, from many, many years. See, uh, US dollars, whatever, right now in US, they have huge fiscal deficit, they have huge external debt, but still somehow they are able to print the dollars. अब वो dollars कैसे print कर सकते हैं, मैं rupees क्यों print नहीं कर सकता? Reason for that lies in, if you see world over, all the economies, all the central banks, likes of RBI, they hold forex. They have to, because see, US dollar is the currency of trade. Okay, for
Fiat currency, you
example,
know.
I don't know if remember that a few years back, Russia had actually said that if we're buying the Russian oil, we will not take rupees. Okay. So, since each and every economy in the world requires US people or US central bank has that luxury of keep on printing the US dollars, because that's a world currency. That's not only the US. It's basically, it's called the reserve currency of the world. That's why you're seeing all the BRIC economies or all the G20s. BRICS, may there was a strong talk that BRICS will come out with its own currency, and then your Trump has actually threatened, if you do anything like that, if you try and any country or any country body which is trying to replace the US dollar as a trade currency, we will try and put the tariffs. So answer lies there. Indian rupees में बहुत कम लोग trade करते हैं. Maybe some Southeast Asian countries can buy. Bangladesh can take rupees. Sri Lanka can take rupees. Sri Lanka, it said, there was actually a talk that they were saying that since the currency was devaluing so much, they were saying that they don't mind using the Indian rupee for their personal give and take also. So that's precisely the reason, because the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world. Every trade gets done there, and central banks has so much of demand in USD. That's why they can keep on printing USD and not India.
Yeah, fairly answer. I think, as you were mentioning, they're so smart. They did this in the Bretton Woods system,
Exactly.
whereby they made them the dollar as the fiat currency. So wherever we go, dollar is something with जो चलता है, बाकी कुछ चले ना चले, dollar जरूर चलता है,
Exactly.
right?
They
So
did away with the gold reserve that
gold,
used to have.
yes, gold standard. So, friends, we are open for other questions. I think Kanaya and Christian have been quickly answering your questions, which were there in the chat. So, are there any other questions or you want to ask? Please feel free.
Any
We are
question on the
open
stock
to, yeah,
market,
please.
on anything, just please shoot.
On the sector, where should one go, right? Where should you
See,
put your
as far as the
money
sectors
when
are
it is there?
concerned, as far as the sectors are concerned, what we're saying is in the entire market right now, there are two sectors which are cheap today are firstly the IT, second is the banks. Banks are actually the cheapest. The banks were not even, they're cheaper than the 2008 crisis also. So if somebody wants to invest, Nifty looks fairly cheap. If you can actually invest in the Nifty index funds or the Nifty ETF. So Nifty is pretty cheap. Maybe if you want, Rishi, what we can do is we can also do a session on how to see the stock markets. When you see valuation, how to
Hmm.
invest, as and when you
Okay,
like.
fair enough. We can have a follow-up
Yeah,
then
yeah.
on that, Rajat. Yes, Rajat, I had one question for you. When we were discussing about the government has been doing pretty well in terms of increasing the capital expenditure and trying to limit on the revenue expenditure. So where do you see, because in FY I mean the April 2025 we are going to have the union pension scheme again back, whereby you will have this expenditure coming up. So do you think that will have an impact, or you think that's not that much, because the government is anyways trying to not put in too many people in the system. They're trying to see that all the government departments as well as other agencies, allied agencies, are also quite lean in terms of workforce.
See, Rishi, the pay commission has just sat. So abhi discussions hain, they haven't really come out with something. So by the time, usually, see, my father is also a ex-central government employee, so I said that you'll be, everything would be. So he said that the committee sitting now, the decision may happen now. It can take anything between 1 year to 2 years. So then, this government is also very smart. Whenever they make it applicable, they usually nowadays make it applicable on that day, not from the time the commission actually set. So they can save some money there. Also, if you see what is also happening is every year the fiscal deficit target that they are giving. For example, last year the fiscal deficit target they gave was 4.9. So they have actually overachieved
Mhm.
it by 4.8. So 10 bips से वहाँ पे भी overachieve करा है. So I'm pretty sure that if they're giving the target of 4.4 fiscal deficit this year, they will again try and overachieve, and they've overachieved for the last few years. So they've been very fiscally, they've been very prudent. So this is like a trend. So there's something called a fiscal responsibility budgetary management. As per that, all the economies of the world, they have to start working towards the 2.5% fiscal deficits, and India has been one of the very few economies which is actually so हम वहां तक already पहुंच जाते हैं. It's just that 2020 came COVID and all the maths you saw the central government, the fiscal deficit number was about 12%. If that number would not have come, we will possibly would have been sitting at a very good situation right now, under maybe 2.5 today. Also, what is happening is India right now is opening multiple resources for the revenues. You've seen now the FIs have India just got added to the JP Morgan bond index. Okay, so
Yes, yes.
right now the problem is it's only the banks. बैंक के पास situation क्या है, या तो government के bond hold करेगा या पैसा खर्च करेगा. When you have demand from the FIs also coming, it also then eases off the burden on the banks. Plus, right now, if you see India's import bill on oil has been consistently reducing.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and like we are saying that EVs will start coming. So I think hopefully maybe in a 10, 15 years time, we'll be in a situation that fiscal deficit would be completely wiped out.
Right. But then again, this demands a re-rating of India, which is still
110%.
delayed. 110%.
210%. 210%. It really demands a re-rating. And I'm very sure that it will happen.
Okay.
That is, see, Rishi, that is you've raised a very good point. अगर आप देखो, आज इंडिया का बॉन्ड यील्ड है 10 ईयर 6.8 पे कल
So,
बंद हुआ है. यूएस इज
yes,
अराउंड
yes.
4.5, 4.6. From the time we started our careers, we have never we've seen 10-year GSAC gap between both the countries to be at least 4%. Right now, it's only 2.2. This has never happened.
It's
You
never
know, that
happened.
is why,
Yes, yes.
see, the entire thing which is being played out in the stock market today is that since your cost of funding has fallen so much, that's why markets are giving the multiple that they are. You know, today, small caps are trading at, say, 40, 45, 50 times. So, because they know, firstly, two things. Ek to aapka terminal growth rate in India is a lot higher than in many other
Hmm.
countries. India can keep
Absolutely.
on growing at a very
Absolutely.
higher pace for many, many years. Plus, at the very same time, your borrowing cost in India is also sharply down. So these are two reasons which are keeping the equity markets buoyant, and I think this would be the case for many, many years to come.
Absolutely. And that is what I think is again giving a big competition to banks. That why should we keep our money in banks instead of invest in the markets? Because the India growth story looks pretty intact.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think you've nicely answered my question. So thank you on that, Rajat. And I am inclined that we should certainly have a next session for discussing on valuations
Sure.
and which sectors look good and how things look at the moment. Because yesterday I was you must be aware of this gentleman, Mr. Balwant Jain, who's a tax expert. There are a lot of articles he writes. So I happened to be in one of his groups, and the message he sent was that every time these days it's become an mentality that whenever we want to buy, we will firstly go to Amazon and Flipkart and see what is the best price available.
Correct.
But we don't do really that as an ordinary investor. We are not doing that when it comes to the stock markets. We feel that right now, if it's not working, we don't see it from the point कि अरे ये तो बहुत cheaper है, and it is available at a discount. There can always be some small short-term volatilities and short-term cycles being here and there. Oh, why? Because inflation was a little out of control. Now the RBI and the government is making a coordinated move. They're giving more cash in the hands of people, 1 lakh crore, as you mentioned, and the repo rate has been slightly now being brought down. So this is a coordinated move to see that this short-term mismanagement is over and we are back intact on where we want to be. The fourth largest and the third largest economy. So we are very, very looking forward to that. So thank you for your time, Rajat. Any other questions, please? I think I can see some chats. If any questions, yeah, Umesh is saying opportunity, absolutely. Insurance may opportunity, and the smart thing, Umesh, the government has done is they say whatever premiums you're going to get, you're going to invest in India itself. You will not take it back. You will not invest in, let's say, foreign instruments. So it's expected that the insurance FDI limit in hike of up to 100% now is going to bring in fresh capital in the infrastructure structure, and of course the fixed income instruments as Rajat was mentioning.
So, friends, if you have any question, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you one by one. You can ask your query from Rajat ji also. You can ask your query from Rishi sir. All right. So, yes, Balu sir, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Rishi and uh, Rajat. Very wonderful session. I'm just asking only one question. I am a MFD. In current market situation, what do you suggest whether we can take a lump sum from the investor or would you suggest SIP route?
Uh, 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 Baluji, as far as the large caps are concerned, I think you should go all out for the lump sum in the large caps.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because if you see Nifty historically has traded about 17 to 19 times on an average. Today, see, firstly, what has happened in the market today? Why has the market corrected? Nothing to do with India. Most of the correction, as I discussed, is to do with the US 10-year and the forex and the rupee dollar equation. Markets were expensive. Three things have happened. Firstly, if you see the first quarter of this number got washed out because elections were there, government was not spending money. It was a slowdown there. Second quarter, monsoons this time got a little more elongated. third quarter, if you see, government has also been not been spending too much of money, because see, government in an economy acts as a counterbalancer. अगर इकोनॉमी में स्लो डाउन है, सरकार खर्चा करेगी. इकोनॉमी अगर ठीक ठाक चल रही है, सरकार खर्चा नहीं करेगी, सरकार बोलेगी प्राइवेट सेक्टर आके करेगा. Government has tried supporting private sector a lot. Right now, they're trying to just withhold and see whether there are any actual expenditures happening from the private side. That's why, the slowdown, a bit of slowdown came. And if you ask me, to my mind, I'm very, very sure we are still in a bull run, and this is just a temporary pullback. And these pullbacks are extremely critical. Otherwise, what happens is then the markets are not very healthy. You asked me lump sum or SIP. I think large caps are, if as far as large caps are concerned, large cap funds के अंदर और ETFs में Nifty के या or in the like the passive, just go do lump sum in the large caps. Large caps, maybe if you say particularly, banks and financial services are looking, banks and IT are looking extremely good right now. As far as small and mid caps are concerned, I feel that the earning momentum of the small and mid cap is a lot stronger than the large caps, and they will stage a strong comeback in the second half of this year. Accumulation time, very clearly. And see, this correction, whatever correction has happened, this is not the first time the correction has happened. आप पिछले 5 incidents देख लीजिए, whenever the dollar has corrected, wherever the rupee has corrected, 2018, 2013, 2012, 2008. This correction, when it starts happening, it's a very fast and a furious correction. But then after every 4-5 months, markets kind of they settle down and they stage a strong comeback. So I think we are in a somebody wants to make money over the next 3 years. Large caps, if you're patient to say invest it for the next 5 years, 100% small and mid caps.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Manohar ji, you can unmute yourself. You can ask your question. Yes, sir,
Yeah,
please go.
thank you. The session was very useful. Thank you very much. I am an IT employee and I am very much interested in the financial side. So that is where I plan to do the CFP. So my question is, being a full-time employee, can I still take that that articleship of 1 year? So that is the first question. And if so, how much effort would it actually need per week to actually do it?
So, hi Manor. I think Kanaya tried to answer it, but I'll again reiterate it that what you will have to do, we definitely understand that you have your career there and you're pursuing it as something for your, or let's say a plan B in future. We'll try to keep it flexible in terms of we'll decide on how many hours you can contribute per week, and we'll keep it like an assignment based kind of an arrangement for an year. So typical standard fashion is that I'll be issuing you if we decide to hire, because we can always get you hired by one of the CFPs from a parent organization, or let's say our alumni as well who are working at the moment. And they also need at times people to as people pursuing articleship under them. So then it will be on a case-to-case basis. We'll keep it flexible. We don't really want you to leave from your job and come and work here. So it will be a hybrid kind of an arrangement.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
And we're doing it at the moment with some of the people who are based out of, they're not based out of the north, they're IT people. One of them is in Bangalore and he works with a software firm. So he has completed his CFP. He's right now, I've engaged him as under a hybrid model only. So that is, don't worry on that part. We can certainly work it out.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. So, Rishi, I cannot see any question unanswered. Neither I can see any raised hand. So, with this, it's time to wind up the session. Thank you so much, Rajat sir, and thank you so much, Rishi, for this lovely session. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this
Absolutely. I think I must say that I loved the session, Rajat. I think we can go for hours and hours just to discuss how the markets are going to go. Kanaya will certainly join us. He's also a passionate investor in the markets with all his thoughts on,
Rajat
and
ji,
he's highly interested, in penny stocks and small caps. I think that is his favorite arena of the market.
No, my passion is also just the equity markets and the economy, and I really want to thank you for giving this opportunity again. And to everybody who was there on the call and is thinking of doing CFP, don't think, just do it. And whether ICFP is the right place, the proof is in front of you. I'm the product of ICFP, and I know, many, people like me who are doing really well, and have the command on what you do. See, the confidence is when you know what you're doing, right? So ICFP does that. So I think, if somebody's just planning, and if you're thinking कि कहाँ से करें, यहाँ से या कहीं और से करें, there's nothing bigger than ICOFP, and especially they are being backed by Bajaj Capital, which is the group company. There's nobody. So the financial planning in India actually started with Bajaj Capital. ठीक है, let me tell you that. Whereas everybody in India has come much later. So don't be confused. Just do it.
Thank you so much, Rajat ji. And so time to wind up. Thank you.
Done. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Kanhaiya. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks.
See you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Take care. Bye.